ladies and gents, welcome back to this evening's coverage of the Weplay Invitational. This is the round of 16 matchup between Meet Your Makers and Karont3, and we are into the second game in the picks and bans here after a first round win, a first game win also I should say, to Karont3, and fairly one-sided at the end. I'm met this joined by Spuddington. We're in the picks and bans.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, nice to be here still. K3, definitely a team I haven't seen a lot from. Seen a couple of the players around the place, but there are also a couple of players, such as Eco himself, who did a lot of work last game that I don't think I've seen in any previous teams. That could be my memory, though the EU Challenger scene does tend to, well, wildly vary from day to day. But regardless though, that is not the important thing right now. The important thing is actually, what are MYM's objectives in this game, Metas?
Well, I think they're just going to have to switch up the composition pretty much completely, because there was something very wrong in game number one. They were getting bursted down, they were getting forced, bullied around from Karont3 from pretty much minute one, and there was nothing they could do. They got caught from constant ganks, constant presence from Eco on Elise, and it seems to me that they are going to be switching things up here. Instead of going for the Zyra support, they're going for something a bit more aggressive and a bit safer in team fights, and that's going to be Fiddlesticks and the Varus at bot lane. So at level 6, that's so much presence at bot for Meet Your Makers, and they may very well be going for more of a team-centric fight here with potential Vi lock-in.
I would just like to sound the Cassiopeia alert, ladies and gentlemen. There is a non-zero chance, however, we are playing on the live servers. It could be a placeholder pick, but Cassiopeia seems too legit to be a placeholder pick, even if she's not normally good enough to be actually worth picking in general. But we'll see what happens with that. MYM, I don't think I've seen them run it in the past, but Cassiopeia, if you get the right player in the right circumstances and the right team comp, is a murder machine. All the rest of the time she's terrible because she's so punishing if you make any kind of mistake. If you make a positional mistake, Cassio is squishy. You can get murdered. If you make a mechanical, like straight up, if you miss a Q and then use your E on the enemy, that cuts your DPS massively. It's really, really punishing if you screw up on Cassiopeia. But if you get that one guy that knows exactly how to play her, she can be brutal.
Yeah, the Petrifying Gator ultimate is, well, it's possible to land it on all 5 players and stun them. Lots of burst damage, and already you can see quite a team fight centric composition because they've got the Chains of Corruption from Varus and the Crow Storm as well from Fiddlestick. So, as you say, if they can land the right engages, Chain of Corruptions onto Petrifying Gaze, that's a lot of burst damage in a very short period of time, Spud. So I can definitely see, if they can get the execution right, they can pop through K3 exceptionally quick, especially as they do have the Vayne. Now, if Vayne gets caught on Chain of Corruptions or from Cassiopeia, that's going to be bad times. That's why I think Jims is going for the cleanse.
Indeed, it does seem that way. So, we'll actually see what they choose to go for overall here, though. But I mean, both teams have now presumably locked in their full lineups, apart from the final pick, which, because I should mention, ladies and gentlemen, we are a little bit behind. We are watching from the stream because both the spec slots are occupied. But that last second swap up there, that was an interesting one, Metas.
Rengar, I think I'm a few seconds behind you. Is that Rengar locked in?
That is Ringo. That is Ringarcia the Third. That is Mr. Lion Man. That is quite a dangerous pick, actually, in the top lane, both for his own team and for the enemy team. In fact, MYM have gone with quite a dangerous team for themselves, pretty much across the board, actually.
This is another curveball being thrown out. Rengar, Cassiopeia on the same team. I cannot remember any time when I've seen this composition in the EU scene. Like, maybe it's been done in Korea or something, but I've yet to have seen it here. What I would say is that's a lot of single burst damage from Rengar and a lot of teamfight presence as well, because if Rengar can jump on top of Vayne, Vayne is going to die very quickly. So maybe that's one of the determining factors here, Spud, that they want to just get rid of Vayne, they want to get rid of Orianna before a teamfight even starts and try and clean it up afterwards.
I have definitely seen incredible Rengar players in the past. I mean, if he snowballs so unbelievably hard, it is ridiculous. But There are a lot of things that can go wrong with that pick, and I'll probably talk more about those when we get into the actual game. For the duration of this little delay timer, though, which should be showing up fairly shortly, I will be just going on a quick break, and so will Metas, and so will the rest of the stream, because I'm not unique in this aspect. Regardless, though, we will be going on a break. We'll see you after this break. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We are underway with the second game now of Meet Your Makers versus Karont3, and it does seem like both teams are moving into a similar position to the one we did last. It's the last game. I'm Spuddington, joined once again by Metas, and didn't they face check this brush last time?
It was a very similar position, but K3 ended up actually backing away, and they're going to be firing in the volatile spider, I believe, and then just noticing that the entirety of Meet Your Makers are in there, and they will pull themselves back again. So pretty much a similar position to game number one.
That does mean that Elise has a lot less potential to catch people and kill them now. What we haven't committed to the W, but they are going to find Makati.
Oh, Makati, wrong place at the wrong time, is forced to flash. So that's not going to be up for the next 300 seconds. And that's going to definitely lower his presence in the laning phase coming from the jungle spud. So nice little pickup from K3.
However, Tremnek actually forced the flash by flashing himself
yeah.
with the death sentence. So actually a 1-for-1. Who is going to be more upset by not having the flash? Well, Lee Sin is very, very mobile, but he is also the jungler. So it kind of works both ways on that one. Not an easy call to make.
Yeah, true. And plus the fact that Tremnek is going to be against Fiddlesticks at bot lane. Sometimes definitely that flash is required in case you get yourself in a precarious position. But Thresh is pretty tanky, and unless he makes a number of small mistakes that lead into a bigger one, he should be okay until that flash is back up again. That being said though, Spud, now that the information has been relayed to the rest of Meet Your Makers, potentially just going to camp the bot. Knowing that this flash is not available, they may very well try and get the first blood down here.
Yeah, that is a very viable option. Makati is now 6 if you want... 6? Yes, he's 6. He killed blue buff. 5 extra levels. No, he did hit level 2, so he could have potentially gone for like a level 2 gank, and obviously with no ability to flash for Tremnek, could have maybe looked for something, but no, as it happens, not going to be going for that. So the lane I want to see what actually happens in though is this top lane, because that is not a matchup I've seen. Charu in mid though.
Yeah, both Ignites being burnt there, and the flash as well. Charu should be going down for first blood. And Neptuno takes that one down with ease, gets up to level 3 as well. Really awesome plays. But just going back onto the point you're making about top lane, Nespa, go ahead.
So yeah, a matchup I want to see, because it's not a matchup I think I've ever seen before. Rengar has a lot of burst to give out. He has a lot of potential to set up a gank, which is what Makati is probably looking to take advantage of right about now.
Yes, coming in from behind will be safeguarding onto Kubon. Looks like a kill. And Kubon actually have to flash away because he had the Ignite on him and also the creep aggro. So he's playing safe there. And I would have to say I agree with that decision. That being said though, here comes Eco from the side, flashing in himself. Kubon's going to be jumping from the bushes, and the safeguard gets the heal as well from the battle roar. Beautiful play. And they turn it back around. Meet Your Makers coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, this is not like what we saw last game. Eco getting the same champion, not nearly as good of a start. But I would say what we saw there when Shyvana was being all in by both of them is why she's a really scary top laner. The amount of damage she spat out on both of the people trying to kill her was tremendous, and Kubon very nearly died as we saw. However, he now has 1-0-1, he has Doran's Blade, Doran's Shield, he's going all Doran. He's now probably got a pretty significant advantage, and it's going to be much more difficult for Dragon to take advantage of the amount of damage he has in build. However, the flip side of that, though, is that MYM now have a bit of an awkward situation in their mid lane. They're a little bit behind at bot lane.
They are. Libic has been caught here. Exhaust goes down, forced to flash away. Cocoon will be landing. That's going to be all Giro for Fiddlesticks, and Libic will fall to Jims. So Jims picks up a kill. That's good news for K3 because Vayne will scale very well into the later stages of this game. But just going back to top as well, Spud, that was so good from both Kubon and also the jungler of Makate. He managed to actually juggle his ferocity so well that he used his ferocity with Battle Roar to restore 120 health. That's what kept him alive. And to have the clarity and the composure to pull off those plays in the middle of nearly dying is just a real testament to the individual skill of both these teams.
Yeah, very, very nice indeed. And you can actually see Makla right now playing quite a smart game. He's staying in XP range. K3 probably assumes he's gone back, but it actually looks like he's going to reveal himself. And he now is brave enough to come out because Makate was in the area. So one of those kind of scary things there for him, but he is okay. Still not great though. Getting that first blood on Vayne is going to get scary, and going to get scary quickly. Kubon though, in his top lane, he's freezing the lane, and I think Makate not coming up immediately, but I think he'll come up eventually.
Yes, but Kubon does have an advantage in terms of XP over Dragon right now by about a quarter of a level, and that's just going to get higher and higher. It's going to be hitting level 6 beforehand, and that's really where Rengar becomes a complete monster. Thrill of the Hunt will be available, going to pop out of the ulti and just start to crush foes left, right and centre. Makate was thinking about coming to top, Spud, but he's second guessed himself, just going to be taking the double golems instead.
I expect he's going to go for a lane gank here, because that would give him that ability to just take advantage of the W on Lee Sin and jump in, but Dragon is playing very, very defensively, so maybe not even worth that much effort. Kubon, apparently, very, very scary for Dragon. Dragon on Dragon, by the way. So this is actually quite dangerous, though, for K3, because Kubon did just hit 6. He's got a big wave pushed up, and I don't think he's going to fear Elise because he knows exactly where she is. He could roam very easily right now. If he wants to, he can do it. It looks at the moment like he's going to stick around, though.
And on top of everything else, it's very difficult to gank a level 6 Rengar because as soon as his alarm bells begin to ring, as soon as his spidey senses start tingling, he could just use his ultimate and he's going to be in stealth. It's very difficult to chase him down unless they happen to be carrying a pink ward, and he should be able to escape pretty much every single time, even if the cocoon lands. There's just not enough burst damage to kill him, because as you say, he's gone for 2 Doran's items. In fact, he's going to be roaming, as you mentioned, and he's going to be going down to mid lane. Neptuno's in a pretty sticky situation, coming in hard with the ignite as well, and the shockwave. However, Petrifying Gaze comes in, and they claim that second kill for Rengar.
I actually just want to point out, though, Charu there screwed up the Cassiopeia combo. He actually hit Twin Fang before poisoning his opponent. Yes, they had enough damage anyway, but you actually saw he did very little damage in that gank situation. Rengar did the majority of the work, and Makate is in a battle to the death with Dragon. Botlane Makler is in a battle to the death with Vayne. Yeah, Makler will be falling down. Towers attacking Tremnek in the meanwhile, and the Silver Bolts procs go down. Dragon has been picked up while Makate pulls himself away. Very low hit points, but at the end of the day, a 1-for-0 trade with the Dragon going down to meet your makers. That is the classic Rengar thing, though. Roaming from that top lane, getting a kill. That is how a Rengar snowball starts. He's already 2-0-1. If he knows what he's doing, well, okay, if he knows what he's doing, he's in this tournament, he knows what he's doing. But if he knows what he's doing better than his opponents do, he gets completely out of control.
Yeah, very true, and already has quite a lot of gold accumulated, nearly 2,000 in his back pocket, Spud. So, what's a typical Rengar build? What would you expect to see Q1 go back and buy?
Assuming that he's ahead. Oh, actually, Makate is ahead. There ain't nothing to talk about there. Typically, I would expect to see a Ravenous Hydra, because it tends to contribute to that kind of bursty style. You can go Hydra Last Whisper, you can go Hydra Triforce. Sometimes you'll even see Rengars going for stuff like Infinity Edge and Sword of the Divine, just because you want to just murder someone. You just jump on them out of stealth or out of a brush, they die, and then you can see about doing something else for your team. Maybe look to murder someone else as well. He's really, really scary in that environment, and if he gets enough damage, there's so little counterplay to his ult that it just gets out of control. If he falls behind, doesn't do enough damage to murder you, so then you have a problem, because that's really his only trick. But at the moment, looks like he is he's on the path to Murder Town.
Oh, bot lane though, the Death Sentence and Condemn both land on Libic. He's forced to terrify Jims away, who is going to be not able to put out the damage. Libic manages to survive by the skin of his teeth, going back to his tower. Now Makler in a duel to the death with Jims. Dot Passage, however, comes in, and Jims is going to get back to his own tower just fine. He's not going to have any issues.
Yeah, Charu actually popped down there looking for the gank, but wasn't able to get it. Didn't get anything done there. So I would actually also like to mention, though, that although Rengar is looking very, very strong right now, he's not really getting much done at the moment. He's got that ultimate again, so we can expect to see him go for... Actually, if I had to say anything, potentially a dive here. He's harassing Dragon down quite significantly. Makate is in the area. I think Makate needs to be quite careful because... Yeah, I'm sorry, not Makate needs to be careful. Dragon needs to be quite careful because they are plotting his demise, and the Murder Machine, they do not want to give him any more kills.
Exactly, and Makate was thinking about a gank and said he's going to be safeguarding back to his ward because they did notice that Neptuno was missing from mid, and it's very quick reactions, isn't it, Spud? Because if they go to top and Neptuno's there with the shockwave, suddenly that gank can turn completely on its head and actually put Meat Makers in a horrible position. So better to just let Q1 get his free farm, get even stronger at top rather than giving away free kills. Jims has been Chain of Corruption and terrified as well. Bot lane, lots of damage being put down, Condemn against the wall, Crow Storm as well from the side from Libic, but Eco in the right place at the right time, repelling onto Libic, will be finishing off this kill and backing away. So again, what looked like a really horrible position from Jims, he just about survives, and they turn it around.
Yeah, Crow Storming directly into the stun there, but Kubon is in the area. He's going to go for Neptuno behind the tower.
He is. How much burst damage does Kubon have? The answer is not quite enough. Although that being said, the poisons are ticking down, and it is going to be enough at the result of the poisons. And actually, Rengar takes down the kill. Pretty impressive. I think that was the Ignite that took it down.
Yeah, that was the Ignite. You had Poison from Charu, and you had the Ignite from Kubon. So that gives them an opportunity now to push this tower. They know Gyms have to go back. Those actually look like that will be what they're going to aim for. Eco needs to be careful. Petrifying Gaze, Flash, and Ignite are still up on Charu. A lot of mana. It wouldn't need much to get the stun down.
Yeah, so this tower should be falling from Meteor Makers, and definitely a much closer affair than in game number 1. They finally finished that one off, pushing away Elise as well. So another tower will be falling. In fact, the first tower, for some reason I thought more had fallen than that. And interestingly enough, talking about Kubon's build, he's gone for a Sunfire Cape first, more of a tanky Rengar.
That is interesting, actually, because generally I feel like the ones that go for a Sunfire Cape, they're more consistent, but there are characters that do what Sunfire Cape Rengar does, but better. Like, I mean, Renekton does a very similar thing to a Sunfire Cape Rengar, because he can jump into the middle, put out a lot of magic damage, and be very tanky. That's what that kind of build goes for. But why wouldn't you just... I mean, obviously, Renekton might not have been available this game, but why wouldn't you just pick another similar character to that could do very much the same thing if you're going to do that? That's his choice today, and that is what he's going to go for, but... It's always a question that kind of nags at me a little.
Maybe this is the case that he feels he's strong enough to still have the raw damage output, and he wants the security of also being a very tanky, meaty Rengar on top of that. So kind of a confidence play. And going forward into the mid to later stages, maybe that's when we're going to see some of those big damage items coming about, like the Ravenous Hydra, as you mentioned previously. He'll be firing down both of the Bowler Strikes, putting down some harassment onto Dragon, but Dragon's going to be trading pretty nice with that. Burnout, meanwhile, bot lane, however, we are going to have an engage kicking off with Crow Storms, and the Dark Passage comes down, and strangely enough, K3 are just going to stand right there because this tower is so low.
Yeah, it's kind of the weak point for MYM at the moment. Their bot lane really not in good shape. Down a kill, down a significant amount of CS, in fact down 3 kills if you count Fiddlesticks, so not looking good on the whole. However, Cassiopeia will actually put out enough damage that doesn't really matter. Varus is a very utility-focused AD, but Makati in mid.
Yeah, Charu's doing a lot of damage, and actually the Dragon's Rage will knock Orianna out of the Petrifying Gaze, I believe. So that was a bit of a heart stopper there for Meteor Makers. They do finally pick up the kill though, and it's going to be on Cassiopeia, so that's a very welcome kill for Charu in mid.
However, that does mean now that K3 are free to take this dragon, and they are starting to pull this back, honestly. They were quite significantly behind early on with the kills on Rengar, with the kills they were... I mean, they were getting kills in bot lane, but not that hugely advantageous for them. So... starting to look like maybe Karont3 are pulling back in, and that is a worrying sign for MYM, because last game there wasn't a huge, there wasn't a huge turning point where MYM fell behind and started to lose the game. They just kind of slowly bled advantages, and if they can't make big advantages soon, you've got to worry for their future.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas in this game, Meteor Makers, they're keeping themselves in contention. Cubon's going to pick up this second tower fairly comfortably here, and he has been bossing the top lane, so already has over 1.5k gold to spend. K3 did pick up a dragon just previously, however, so it's still very close on gold. You can see there, just 2. In fact, they're trying for an early Baron between Charu and Makate at just over 15 minutes. They're both taking so much damage though, and this is going to backfire because Makate is going to be dying to the Baron. Dudes, what?
That would have been fun. Okay, if they had Rengar there, right, that could have worked. Because Rengar, fairly tanky, that would have made this Sunfire Cape make sense. Fairly tanky, can heal, has decent sustain, but with just the 2 of them, I mean, yes, Charu puts out unbelievable amounts of damage. Yes, Lee Sin is a very good dragon taker, quite sustained, and yes, at this stage of the game, Baron is comparatively weak. It scales up with time, but just no, with 2 of you at level 11. Level 9 and level 11.
But there needs to be some serious wrist slapped, I have to feel, because Charu also burnt his flash. So not only did they lose a player, but they lost the flash, and Baron was not even nearly dead. And now after the result of this, Libic's going to be caught in mid, Shockwave goes down, Libic dies again. And they're just going to be pushing through mid, and that could have just thrown them the game. honestly, I know that's a pretty bold statement to make, Spud, sorry, but losing Baron in a situation like that, and the Flash, and then a tower afterwards, the momentum is now stacked against Meet Your Makers after a really dumb mistake.
I just don't understand. Like, that was just bizarre. I mean, I know it's difficult to judge how difficult it is to take the Baron at this stage of the game, but really, Mackler and bot lane.
Yes, Mackler is going to be using Barrier. Do they have enough damage? Flashing as well past the Chain of Corruptions, and Mackler will be falling to the red buff. Beautiful repel there through the Chain of Corruptions, keeping that onslaught intact. And they may be picking up another tower, and I'm still a bit speechless, but I have no idea what to make of that Baron attempt at 15 minutes.
That's all I can really say about it. So Karont3 there are going to back it. Let's just pretend this never happened. So Karont3 are just going to walk away and presumably laugh. I don't know, laugh for maybe half an hour. That might, I don't know. Regardless, though, they are actually now hanging around, sitting on a ward. It's a little bit potentially dangerous for them, but they're not going to stick around if too many people go missing for too long. I imagine MYM aren't going to challenge that.
I can just imagine Karont3's TS or Vent when that Baron death came down from Mikasa. They're probably like, you what, mate? Wait, this 15 minutes, what's happening? And from there on in, it has suddenly, just the whole mentality of the game is that Karont3 have been pushing like they did in Game 1. Before that, Meet Your Makers seemed to be in more control. They've lost 4 towers in quick succession. Just a few moments ago, it was 2-1. Now it's 4-2 in Karont3's favour. And it just goes to show again that one misplay, one misstep can really turn the tides of momentum in League of Legends.
Yeah, we do actually have a little pause coming in, but apparently they are ready to go. Or at least it was Karont3 that paused it, and they've asked if everyone's ready. So presumably MYM will say yes at some point, unless they simultaneously suffered from a terrible fate. Some people do meet with terrible fates, or so I'm told. I've got to say though, right now. No, actually they are starting there. Yeah, that. Several like weird things in this game to my mind. Maybe I'm wrong about the Rengar thing, but feels to me like he should have been trying to snowball harder by building more damage. Feels to me like he should have been there if they were going to make that Baron call at all, because that potentially could have made it work. And it feels like maybe they should have just been a little bit more patient in going for that Baron. If they had just waited for Kubon to push back Shyvana or just slip out of vision range, any of those things could have worked. But they didn't opt to go for it. That's their decision, and they're only human.
Well, you know, the saying goes, fortune favours the brave, but in that case it certainly didn't. You can see the mentality and the thought process behind it, because Lee Sin does have a Wriggles Lantern, so he's going to do more damage. The Baron actually held the thought, because Kubon flies out of the bush and tries to nuke down Eco. But it's just nowhere near enough damage. But going back to what I was saying, Cassiopeia can spam down Baron. It's a very fast Baron clearest, but they simply didn't have enough hit points. And that's what was proving to be their fate, is that both players were just flying down, and their health in just a few moments went from 100 to 0. McCarthy's been caught from the cocoon. Lots of burst damage from Eco, but he's going to back away to his own lane here.
Yeah, so now MYM definitely backs against the wall again. K3 have control of their jungle, they're taking things away, but Jims has been caught.
He will be cleansing out of that one with a dark passage, and a shield's going to be enough to keep him alive. Crowstorm comes in, Libic is engaging by himself onto a box, but those shields were so good. Jim's got the shield from the dark passage and also from Orianna, so keeping him alive by the skin of his teeth. It's going to be 1-for-1-0 trade.
Yes, I don't know, is there something in the water today? But I mean, Libic there at the end, just Crowstorming significantly too late. Tremnek pulled away his target and then continuing to walk forward. Did not take account of the map state. Ended up getting, what, 5 versus 1. Kubon may be able to find Tremnek though.
Oh, that's some serious damage. But again, the Cocoon's going to be there. Death Sentence in way. Shield from Orianna. Are they going to turn this one back around? No, they're not. A bit too low. And it was a 3 versus 3 because Shyvana was top and Vayne was back at spawn.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes. But I'm coming across as rather like some kind of hater here. I mean, MYM are still a very, very good team, but they've made some really questionable decisions this game. people do actually have off days. I know this is something that some people actually genuinely find it quite hard to understand, but players in solo queue as well as in ranked fives and as well as in competitive scenes do actually have days where they play significantly worse than they normally would in every respect. So maybe this is just one of those unfortunate times for MYM. Looks like they are kind of at a loss for what to do, actually, because they're just milling around.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it may come across as, you know, saying a lot of hateful things, but as a caster squad, you need to be able to tell your opinion. And the fact of the matter is, and I think this game has proven itself, that Meteor Makers they're off kilter. It's almost like they're reading from different sheets, from different books, that they have these kind of individual plays that just don't pay off. Ultimate's been popped from Kubon. He's going to try and nuke down Jims. Does he have the damage to do this, however? No, he doesn't. And in doing so, has to flash away. So again, it's like Kubon goes off by himself, tries to get the assassination, and it backfires.
Yeah, you can understand his desire to make that play based on the fact that their team is falling behind, but Limit flashes into the hook!
He does, and Libic is going to be falling down, and now the engage comes in from K3. Mappa's in a horrific position from his own perspective. He should be falling down. In fact, he's going to survive with about 5 or 10 hit points. Charu, however, is next in line. He will be falling to the hands of Jims. 2-for-0 trade, surely going to be an inhib tower, and potentially the inhib after.
Yeah, Karont3 have taken back control of this game, and MYM are just reeling. They are not the MYM we know that went like 2 and 3 against Copenhagen Wolves' whole lineup in like a best of 5. They are not playing as well as that team did. So maybe it's just an unfortunate circumstance for them, but they really need to pull something back soon, because this game is rapidly going Karont3's way, and if it continues in this way, there's nothing they can do.
As you say though, Meteor Makers, they are human at the end of the day. Some people just have an off day, and it seems that is the case right now. Also though, taking nothing away from Karont3, who've played very, very well both games. You can only beat what's in front of you, Spud, and both games K3 have done just that.
Indeed they have. I mean, they've really impressed me. Again, both of the teams that we've seen playing against, because we saw Team Dignitas UK earlier today, who are a team that we know pretty well. We've seen them in the Challenger Series, you know, and to be fair to them, they didn't have necessarily the best games we've ever seen from them either, but they played pretty okay throughout, and then they lost to the Red, which a team I'd never seen before. Karont3, also a team I've not seen before. I don't even know how long they've existed for, which probably shows I should have done the research more, but you know, I wasn't expecting either of those two teams, the Red or Karont3, to pull out anything like as good of a performance as they have, or to beat the two teams they were matched up against. You can see my predictions on the Weplay website, I believe. 2-0 and 2-0. As it happens, it's not looking like it's going that way at all. Oh, well, no, it's 2-0, but not that way. Libic's been caught.
The hat's going to be terrifying away, and he should be okay. Charo coming in from the side alongside Bacate, but they do need to be careful here, because they are definitely behind once again, backs against the wall. Over 6.2k gold disparity between the two teams in Karont3's favour, and they're starting to escalate in that mid-game status, with Vayne 2-0, at least 4-1, and even though it's not been the greatest of games from Neptuno, he's still 3-3 Orianna with the needlessly large rod and also the Athenes and Holy Grail spot. So in team fights, he's still going to be putting down some serious damage, some serious pain.
If this game were to drag on really, really long, you would get, you know, 60 minutes and everyone gets a full build, I honestly don't know who would have a stronger late game, because Kubon actually on that Rengar, really, really strong late game. The ability to create picks late game is invaluable, but K3 are stronger now, and they're pushing towers and they're taking advantages, and it's not like they're going to be weaker late game. They've got Vayne, they've got Orianna, they've got Shyvana, they've got Elise, and now it looks like Eco is going to be fighting off against Rengar.
Couple ults were burnt there in the process, Chain of Corruptions and Shockwave, one from either team, but again, they get the objective, and that's all that counts. Objectives win matches. They've already got the bottom inhib, so Super Minions are pushing, and in the meantime, they have this two-pronged attack with going down mid. Charo's just been chunked about 50% of his hit points, and they are going to be looking to bat this one down as well. And Rengar's going to go in for a bit of an engage here. The shield will come out from Neptuno and the box as well from Trennak, who honestly has had such a good game, both 1 and 2. Going to be jumping back in on Coupon. Coupon could be falling. A piercing arrow comes around from the side from Varus. He's going to pick up 1 kill, but that's a 3-for-1 trade. And now Vayne could be going in to pick up the pieces alongside the Elise. The tower aggro, though, is going to be going on to Jims. They do finally pick up that kill for a 4-for-1 trade and the tower as well.
Yeah, and K3 now taking a second inhibitor. Shyvana is pushing in the top lane and will take that tower. It's now just looking like we are waiting for the end from MYM. Can Cubon get anything here? Potentially if he can get up close, but no ult available, no flash available. He's not even going to try, and it looks like that will just be the double inhibs going down, which will probably chain into a 25-minute Baron from K3.
Yes, indeed. And as you say, Coupon may have thought for a couple seconds about engaging, but it's so easy for K3 to kite him without his ult or flash available. They've got a Vayne, they had an Orianna there as well for the constant speed ups from Dissonance and the shields as well. And Coupon smartly didn't want to engage on that. But with 2 inhibs down on 26 minutes, it's really a case of how do K3 want to finish this game.
Yeah, honestly, safest play from them probably just to siege the top tower, because they might just be able to catch someone out. They've got to contend with wave clear if they do that, so maybe they will go for that Baron instead. Either option, very, very valid for them. They are significantly far ahead, and to their minds, it just doesn't matter what they do so long as they don't make colossally huge mistakes. And as you can see, K3 there, going to be going for the Baron and should be able to pick that up. No one is even trying to contest from MYM. Most likely they can guess it's happening, but if they were to rush out there and try and do it, K3 could either turn around from them, or MYM would have to, or they could just back away and let MYM's base get crushed under minions. So, again, K3 taking advantages, but it looks like we are just waiting for the death now.
I'm trying to visualize and piece together a position, a scenario where Meteor Makers could win a team fight and claw their way back into this game, but Spud, I think even if they land all their ultimates perfectly, they still don't have the damage, they still don't have the tankiness to actually pick up K3. Maybe they'll get a player or two, but at the cost of all 5 of themselves. So I'm not sure if you'd agree with that statement, but I just cannot see how Meteor Makers can pull their way back into this. Flashing away from Charu. Here comes the ultimate from Cubon as well. It's going to be flashing onto Jims. Here comes the Crow Storm and the box as well. However, they'll be turning this one back around. Maxla's taking so much damage from Dragon. Here comes Charu as well. He's going to be picking up the pieces. Or will he? As a double kill goes in from Neptuno. That's going to be a clean ace, 5-for-0, and that's going to be the GG.
That is the end. MYM losing 2-0, and Team Dignitas UK earlier on losing 2-0 to these other teams. Not seen too much from them in the past, but ones to watch in the future, perhaps the Red and Karont3. Very, very nicely played overall. And maybe MYM needs to start thinking about, well, what they are going to do in their future games, because that was not the performance that we have come to expect of them, honestly. Not the best we've ever seen. Regardless, though, guys, I believe that's all the games we have for today.
I think so. I think, Bass, obviously do correct me if I'm wrong, but we have some more games coming up later this week, tomorrow and the day after. Okay, so all the way up to Thursday, we have more Weplay Invitationals coming about. Plenty more teams. You've got the